Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to Harping on Rugby. This is our weekly newsletter called the 80 Plus column. Now, our main content each week is our wrap podcast, which have analysis of the latest match for the Leinster or Ireland men's team. All that means we have the 80 Plus column as a sort of a weekly newsletter for taking a quick look at the rest of the rugby world to see what's going on. For this video, it's all about our feature known as the Front Five, which is a selection of 5 eye-catching, egg-chasing quotes and links from around the rugby media landscape. As you'll see there, I've got 5 headings all lined up. And so let's crack on with this week's article, starting with this one from extra.ie. It's Martin Healy, and the headline reads, Ronan O'Gara hails impressive young Leinster star after getting close-up view. Now, this is about, obviously, Leinster's win over La Rochelle on Sunday. We did a wrap pod for that, obviously. You'll see that in our Spotify, Apple, all the major platforms for podcasts. You'll find our podcast there. We did a couple of videos as well. You'll see them in our YouTube feed. So we covered that from start to finish. But this is just about Ronan O'Gara. Obviously, he's been asked for an opinion on Sam. He's been asked about him previously. Now, my thing about Raj is that, he is a bit cute with his press conferences and stuff, and obviously there's a wide Munster base of fans that would want him to sort of keep the rivalry going with Leinster, kind of thing. So when he makes these comments, like when he makes comments, he sometimes throws them a little nod. But after this performance and this result and this game and this the way it all turned out, he couldn't say anything about Sam other than positive. Do you know what I mean? It was a good display from him. He played well. He hit all his kicks. And this is just a little article about his comments, his public comments. You'd be interested to see what he's saying. And the quote I picked here: I thought there was probably a buzz about him that wasn't necessary, but after what I saw in Bristol, he merits all that and he deserves all that. And of course, what he saw in La Rochelle as well probably accounts for that as well. So and again, you want to be careful about what you say about someone like Sam coming up like 20, 21 years old. I mean, he does have a high ceiling. He's going to progress. It's just interesting comparing his career, not so much to Raj, but particularly to Johnny Sexton, because Sexton hit the spotlight almost by accident. I'm not saying he would have gone on anyway, but when he really came to the fore was when Felipe Contepomi went down injured in that semifinal, ironically when Raj was playing, and he showed that he could do it. He went on to play well in the final that year, 2009, and the rest, of course, is history. Sam, on the other hand, has just basically played his way into the team. Ironically, there was a void kind of left by Sexton at the other end of his career, and Sam has come in, has played his way into the team. There were others there before him, Ross Byrne, and then Kieran Frawley, who's very unlucky in all of this. But anyway, it's good to see Sam getting acknowledged by Raj, and that's basically what this article is. So that's our first article this week. Article number 2 now, and this comes from sportsjoe.ie. It's Coleman Stanley, and the headline reads, 4 Ireland players to look out for in the under-26 nations. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the Six Nations coming up. The men's squad, by the time you read this, the Irish men's squad will probably be announced. So later in the week we'll have our preview pods, and we'll give our thoughts on that as well, and we'll give some thoughts on social media. But for now, it's just the under-20s as I'm recording that has been announced, and of course the under-20s has become a very, very important event. Part of the Six Nations periods. It's not just one match every weekend now, it's 2. And especially with the Irish under-20s having done so well in recent years, back-to-back Grand Slams, very difficult to do. And they didn't do too badly last season either. They've got a new coach now. Neil Doak has taken over, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. We usually do a podcast around this time, just before the under-26 nations. We have a contributor, a ball handling hooker, who follows the under-20s and knows a lot about their form and how they're getting on in the AIL and stuff. And we're gonna, hopefully do a pod with him I'm not sure I'll have the time, but if I can, I will. But articles like this are good as well because, obviously we follow rugby week in, week out, but it's not always easy to keep up with all these players that are coming up from the schools level and playing, AIL rugby, under 20s, interprovincials and interprovincials and all that stuff. So, when the competition starts, you want to know who's who and what their form is, and who are the players to look out for, basically, which is exactly what this article says on the tin. The quote I've chosen is about one of the players in particular. It's Alex Usanov. He's a prop. He actually was on that emerging Ireland tour last year. So, we do know a little bit about him. He's played for the under 20s before, and and rugby isn't his only sport either. And the quote says he was All Ireland champion for judo in 2018, 2019, won a silver medal in jiu-jitsu, European championships in 2019. Apparently he's been good at the old shot put as well. So it's a highly, very sporting family indeed. I think his sister plays rugby as well. So there's a lot of sport there going on with him. So look out for him. And the article also looks at two other Leinster hopefuls, Alan Spicer, lock in the Devon Toner kind of realm, height wise, and maybe physicality as well, and a speedster, Paddy Farrell, as well, is also covered there. And then, of course, there's a Munster player there, Jean O'Leary Kareem, gets profiled. Kind of, it's ironic that there's 3 Leinster and 1 Munster. That kind of spells out what a lot of people are saying about where the talent is coming from at the moment, coming through the ranks. Why isn't there? He could have, if he's going to pick 4, you think he'd pick 1 from every province. But I'd say that this is more of an even spread of the provinces where the talent's coming from. But there's a lot more players coming through as well, so it'd be interesting to see when the under 20s kick off. And of course, we call them the Wolf Puppies, is the name. I like to think I coined that. I can't confirm it either way. I started using it on Twitter over a decade ago, and I remember. Showing off to everyone when Royal Nugent used it in an actual at the start of the RTE broadcast. But maybe someone else will claim it. But I think I coined it anyway, so I'm putting that on the record anyway. We'll see if anyone else claims it. Okay. Third article now is from the South Africa Rugby Mag. The headline: every so often we do a clickbait of the week feature. I suppose if I was to give it, it would be this one. It's a mild one this time, just because of the question mark at the end of the headline. Box to face Ireland in Dublin, blockbuster? Question mark. My attitude towards this is basically it's saying it's going through the possible fixtures, which haven't officially been released, possible fixtures for the Springboks in next November. Okay, and it's been picked up by the South African organization called Rapport, who often do leaks and try to get exclusives and all that kind of stuff. And they seem to think that the Springboks will play Ireland in Dublin at the end of the next year's Autumn Nations series on the 22nd of November. My attitude towards that is like, duh. I mean, there'd be something wrong if they don't play, because we haven't played them since obviously that Frawley drop goal last summer, and the summer, and it's for it to go that long without us playing South Africa. I mean, it's become one of the best rivalries in the sport at the moment, if not the best, I'd say. The quote I've chosen from this article says the Boks have not won in Dublin since 2012. So, I mean, for us to go another year without playing them, I think would probably be criminal, especially when these Autumn Nations fixtures are kind of done sort of arbitrarily, although there's going to be that World Rugby League or whatever it's called is going to start the following year, so it might play them a bit more often. But anyway, that's the article there. It's Simon Borchardt in SA Rugby Mag, and I'm pretty sure we will see that game happen. So we'll very much look forward to it if so. Okay, on to article number 4. It's from BBC.com. I was telling you that the Six Nations squads are being announced this week, and the headline here is Itoje replaces George as England's Six Nations captain. Now, I think it was very important on many levels that Steve Borthwick made this decision. The quote I've chosen from this article says it all. In total, they won just 5 of their 12 games across 2024. Now, obviously, one of those wins was against Ireland, and they made a big deal of that. It took a drop goal at the very end, but it was a deserved win nonetheless. And we spoke about that often on our pod. But overall, it was a bad year for England results wise. And who do they play first in 2025? But Ireland in Dublin. It almost couldn't be worse. I mean, I suppose Paris playing France would be the equivalent. But I mean, it's a challenging start for them. So I think it was important for Borthwick to shake things up, and making these kind of changes, I think, is key. And maybe this, change in leadership. I think it's about time Itoje stepped up. I think it will help England as well. There's this supposed captain's cloak of visibility you get with a captain. And Itoje does like to sort of push the boundaries laws wise, as we all know. So, but he's definitely a worthy captain. I think he's a possible Lions skipper as well. So this will help push those credentials. He'll have a chance to show himself before Andy Farrell names his his Lions squad and his captain. For me personally, although a lot of people say Caelan Doris is the obvious one for that, but as a selfish Leinster and Ireland fan, I don't think it would be the worst thing if Caelan Doris wasn't named and Itoje was named instead. That's just me being selfish for my own teams, because between now and the Lions tour, I would like Doris to be focused on his duties, green and blue. And but we'll see what happens there. But anyway, other things about the England squad: still no Jack Willis. I know they have rules and regulations about players playing abroad, but I mean, for God's sake, I think he's definitely shown that he can play. And also, finally, Dan Cole. When I saw him come on against Ulster last weekend. I said to myself, he's still playing. He must be 90 years old at this stage. We've seen him come on here, but he looks exactly the same as he did like 12 years ago or whatever, which is amazing. But he's still, and fair play to him, he's still going strong. But this is the first time he hasn't made an England squad, and that's just notable. But he has obviously had a great career. So that's that article there. Okay, on to our fifth and final article. Now, this is a subject that I thought I was finished with a few weeks ago. We've been following the progress of the story of Stuart Hogg and his off-field problems. And I've tried to be clear to say that I'm not highlighting it just to have a go at him. I'm highlighting it with regard to the way the media, some parts of the media would cover it. Some parts of the media would do stories about him and how he and his playing for Scotland and just not mention it at all. And I'm questioning, where does the line go? Like to what extent do things that you do off the field should affect your career and what you do on the field? And his accusations were pretty serious, and he was found guilty. He didn't get much of a custodial sentence, but that's his business. But I don't think we should ignore those things. I don't think it's important to, I think it's important to, if we're going to talk about Stuart Hogg, we don't just say, oh, he got so many caps and he won so many trophies and he won so many this. Something like this happens. You need to be able to acknowledge that and factor that in to when we speak of him. Same goes for any player from any country, even if it was Leinster and Ireland players. I mean, I don't exclude anyone in that. So this has nothing to do with nationality. This is to do with the kind of person you are, I guess. And this is an article in The Guardian from Robert Kitson that I think kind of underlines what's happened to him over the past couple of years. It highlights his own personal struggles as well. There's some influence there, but also what happened with him in his personal life as well. And it's all spelled out there in the article. I think it's a good way of kind of underlining what has happened to him. The headline reads, Stuart Hogg was a world-class Scottish rugby player who now has to relocate his moral compass. I think that's a good way of concisely putting it in one sentence, in one headline. It's acknowledging what he's done on the pitch, but also what's off the pitch. And the headline, the quote I've chosen is from him himself. He said, "I've been so concerned about what people thought of me, how I was coming across, the impact I would have on them, and how I would survive the day." So have a look at the whole article there, and it kind of explains the entire the situation with him. So that's we've had this Hog Watch kind of feature on Harping on Rugby. So hopefully that's the last time we'll have to go back and talk about this and fingers crossed he's able to move on and change, make the necessary changes. Okay, so that's that. Okay, that completes this week's front five. Remember, we do a lot of other regular features on that 80 plus column. You'll get all the front five actual links, of course, so you can check them out. Plus, there's our injury update, and I pick a possible Leinster 23 for our next match. We have our Troll Patrol feature, which it's actually me doing the trolling this week for once, so have a look at that. Then there's updates on all the major rugby tournaments. You can find it all just by heading over to our website at harpinonrugby.blog. Next up here at Harpin Manor, we have our usual preview and wrap pod for the visit of Bath. So please be sure to subscribe to our channel, as well as our other social media platforms. You can find those at linktree/Harpin on Rugby. Until next time, stay safe, everyone. Slán.